Hello, everybody, and welcome to this lesson, Icons and Links. We are going to be talking about how to uh, create icons, how to style them, and same with links. So let's just delve right into the code. The simplest way to do this is by using icon libraries. And in this lesson, I'm going to be going through two types of icon libraries. The first one will be Bootstrap Icons, and then we will talk about Google Icons. So let's look at the Bootstrap Icons. To use Bootstrap glyphicons, we have to add uh, a link to in the head section of your HTML, which is going to direct you to the style sheet, which Bootstrap uh, we'll be using, which we're going to be using, right? And then we are going to be accessing the icons using the class names. So we are going to take an example. So the first thing that we have to do, and let me refresh this. Good, so it's completely clear. Right. So the first thing that we have to do is have the link to our Bootstrap, right? So I'm going to put this in the head section. Again, maybe you can have a title. Let's title this as Bootstrap. Bootstrap Icons. Okay, this is not the way to spell Bootstrap. Okay, good. Bootstrap Icons. And I'm gonna have, still in the head section, I'm gonna have a link, right? And this is gonna be style sheet. And then an href pointing to the Bootstrap CSS. Okay, so this is gonna be, I'm just gonna copy and paste this. Okay, so that is the link for the Bootstrap CSS. And just so we can see, I'm gonna drop it down here so that it's legible and visible, right? So we have it here. Okay, so now that we have uh linked the style sheet to our HTML, the next thing that we want to do is in this uh let's just get some items in the body, right? So what I'm gonna do is, so let's have in our body maybe a P, and in there let's just put in the Bootstrap Icons. Okay, and then let's have, and okay, and what we are gonna be doing here is we're gonna add an icon to this, right? So the way I look for my icons is I just go to components, the get bootstrap.com docs, and then I go to the component section, and I can see available uh, glyphicons down here, and I can use whichever one. So for example, if you wanted to use this icon, you have to use this as the class name. So let's try that. So I'm gonna call this class, and I'm gonna say it's the class name is what? Glyphicon. and then, and maybe I should just copy it just to be sure. Okay, so I have this as the class name, right? So that's how I get what I want to use. So you can see here when I refresh it, it has the icon right here, which is a cloud, right? Again, we can style these icons, and we are going to do that later. But let's see if we can get some more icons in here, right? So I can say this is a cloud, okay? And let me get a little bit more of these down here. So I'm just going to copy. Good. And then maybe I just got a lot of this from W3 School, so let me just use that. Okay, so this is Glyphicon Remove. This is a user. These are all icons that you can find in the same getbootstrap.com, and go to the component section, and you see the available glyphicons or glyphs, right? So if I refresh this, you can see all the icons right here, right? So this is just one example, and in case you want to style this, and you could style this, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break this just to get to a new line, and then down here, I'm gonna just copy this, with styling. Okay, so in here, so for example, with the first one that we have here, which is the cloud, I'm just gonna copy the same thing and put it down here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some extra styling to this. So we can do the inline. I'm just gonna add the style attribute to this, okay? And then I can just change the font size to say 20 pixels, right? So when I refresh this, you can see uh, font size 20 pixels down here, right? You can see the font size of this is 20 pixels. Good. Sorry, the formatting was a little wonky, but I was missing the closing I tag here. So yes, so when I refresh it again, you can see the cloud is bigger, right? So if I decide to increase it a little bit more to 40, we can see that it is bigger indeed. We could also maybe change the color of this. So let's say we wanted to change this to color red. We could just change this using the color attribute and say we want the color red, right? So if I refresh this, I have the color red. So we could actually access or create or get icons from Bootstrap, and we have a separate course on Bootstrap that we will be going over. So if you are getting confused, it's simple. There are just two steps to this. The first thing is to import the or link your HTML document to the style sheet, right? Which is a Bootstrap CSS style sheet sitting on an external server somewhere, right? And then you can now access the icons by just referring to the class. And again, if you go to the components of getbootstrap.com, right? You can see which one you want. So if I wanted to use this one, all I need to do is to use this as the class name. So that is it. The next one we would be looking at will be the Google icons, right? So what I'm gonna be doing here is I'm gonna Just do this. Control Z. Before I do that, let me just copy this so that I can reuse. Okay. Okay. So we have this as our code now. I'm gonna get rid of this link right here. All right. Get rid of this. So this is Google Icons. Google Icons. Okay. And then we don't need any of this. Okay. Okay. So if I refresh this, I should have Google Icons. That's good. So it's the same procedure. What we have to do is we have to add the link to the Google Icons sheet in the head, and then we can now reference the icons by using the class names, right? As we did for Bootstrap. So let's do that. So the first thing we have to do is to have this link, set up this link in the head section. Okay. And what I'm gonna do is so we can see the link properly. Right. So we have this link which is going to go to the googleapi.com and then the material icons. Right. So in order to find the icons, you can go to materializecss.com slash icons.html, and then in here you can see the usage of how do we use this. First, like we said, we have to add this link to your head, all right? And then when you have done that, which we have done, you can now access it by calling a class. Calling the class name should always be material icons. And then in here, right, you have to put in there the ligature as the content, and the ligature would be the name of the icon, if you can see, right? So for here, you have to put AC unit or add a photo or add alarm or what that should be in the uh, add section or the space between this the closing and opening, right? So that's what we're going to do. So the first one that we are going to do, and I'm going to just right is how many p tags do I have here? I'm surprised. So yep, let me get rid of this one. So I'm going to create I, and what I'm going to do is there is one called the cloud that I want to use for now, and I have to call the class and say material icons. Okay, material icons. So then when I go here and I refresh, you can see the cloud, right, has shown up. So that is how we access and get the icons from the Google icons. So as you can see, and I'm gonna copy all of this. So we have a lot more icons to display, right? So we have favorite icon, attachment, computer, traffic, and when I refresh this, you see all the icons showing. So it's as simple as that. You can reference this document to see how to use it. We can also have the it tells you if you want the sizes, tiny, small, medium, large. you can also access it, right? You can have large material icons. If you want the large, medium, you have to put in the medium material icons to get that, right? So that's how we get it large, medium, or not. Okay. Another thing I want to just show is that these can also be styled. So if I wanted to style this or make it bigger, all I have to do is, for example, for the favorite one, I'm trying to, let's say I want to make it bigger. I can just add a style attribute, and then in here I can just say font size, say 30 pixels. Okay, so if I refresh this, you can see that it's now 30 pixels. And same way you can also change the color of this, right? So I can just say color should be red. Okay, and then when I refresh this, it's now red. So that is how we can add icons. There are so many ways that we can add, right? And most of these other frameworks that we are going to be, JavaScript frameworks that we are going to be using, would have their own icons, right? If you look at Angular icons, Angular material icons, and all that, there's just so many icons that we can use there, right? So just learn these two, and if you're looking for extra material, you can just look online, and I'm sure you're gonna find plenty of it. So in CSS links, and we are talking about links right now, we can style links in so many different ways, depending on for states, right? Whether you have visited a link, are you hovering over the link? Is it active link? And if it's a link, how does it look like? So we can style it in so many different ways, right? So let's just take an example, right? So let's put a link, maybe somewhere here, right? Let's put another P, and in here, let's create, and let's bold this so that we can see. And so we have our anchor, and then our href, and then I'm just gonna put in there. Okay, so we have our anchor, and I'm just gonna put in this anchor maybe Google, a link to google.com. Okay, and so in this href link, I'm gonna say http double colon www.google.com. Okay, so let's just refresh this, and I have my google.com. So the a simple styling with this one would just be to add maybe a color. Let's change this color to a different color, right? So I do not have my style in here, so I can add that. Okay, so I have my style, and you can also always do it in an external CSS, right? So I'm just gonna put mine in here for now, right? So I'm gonna say I'm gonna be targeting the A element, which is the element for uh, the link, right? So I'm gonna be styling that, and I'm going to say I want the color to be, say, brown, this kind of brown. Okay, let's see. And then when I refresh this, I have the color being brown, as you can see. Okay, so that is just a simple way to change the color of a link. So let us uh, also style the links in terms of if it's been clicked, if it's already it's active, if it's been hovered, and all that, right? So still in our styles, and maybe I should create some space here, right? We can create, and then an unvisited link, right? We can just say this, And then to style this, we'll say if it's not been clicked, if it's not been visited, we want the color to have the red color, right? So if it's not clicked, let the color be red, right? Okay. And then what if it's been clicked or if it's been visited, right? So I'm gonna say if it's been visited, I want the color to turn green. Okay. So you can actually target the state of the link, right? So if it's already been visited, I want the state to turn or the color to turn green. What if you hover over the link? So it's gonna be the hover, right? And that is also styled, let's say pink, right? If you hover over it, let's say the color should be pink. That is super close. So let's say hot pink. Okay, good. And then if it's selected and it's active, I want a dot active, right? So that's an active link. And so let's say color should be blue. Great. So now if I refresh this, you can see that it's green because it's already been clicked, right? And then if I hover over it, uh, it turns pink, right? So if I click it, it goes to Google, right? And then it comes back to green because it's been visited, right? Initially, when I refresh this, it would be brown because it's not been visited, right? So it depends on the state at which the link is in. So you can target and style the different states of the link, as you can see. There is an order to this when you are setting the styles, right? For you always have to make sure the hover, right, which is this hover, must always come after the link and then the visited, right? And then active must always come after hover, right? And that's how come it's going to work without issues. Good. So knowing that, we can set, let's say if we want to set it a background color, right? So to do that, we can, same thing, right? For example, if you wanted to set background color for a hover, all I have to do is add background color, right? Because you want the background color to change. So let me choose this color, and then when I refresh this and I hover over it, the background color changes, right? So you can have a background color set on this. Okay. The next thing that we want to look at is the link buttons. And this is how we can display links as sort of like boxes, if you may, right? So let's try and create a link button from this. And what I am going to do, uh, and that's fine, we can just use this one. Okay, so in this uh, style right here, a.link and a.visited, or let's just use the hover, right? Because it's easy for me to hover and then we can see, right? So let's style this. Let me create some more space. Okay, so let's set the background color to this, and then the color of our writing, let's set this to white, right? And then let's set our padding to 14 pixels, 25 pixels. Okay, and then let's align our text to center. And then text decoration, we don't want any, so none. And then display should be what? This is not how to spell display. So display should be inline block. Okay, so when we have this done and I refresh this and I hover over it, it gives me the box, right? So you can have a link also as a box. Remember the box model, right? So what we have done is that we give a background color to the elements, added a padding, right? And then added aligned the text within its space or its element, and then we removed all the text decoration so you don't see any underline or anything like that. So this is how we create uh, uh, buttons as boxes. Okay, so if you wanted to use your links like that, that's how you style it. That's if you wanted to do that. Thanks guys for watching. Uh, See you in the next lesson.